My mother-in-law exposed my miscarriage to the entire family, then demanded I apologize for ruining Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is supposed to be a time of gratitude, warmth, and togetherness. But for me, this past one turned into one of the most painful and humiliating days of my life. My husband and I have been trying to start a family for the past 3 years. It's been a long, emotional road filled with hope, heartbreak, and more tears than I can count. Last year, I got pregnant twice, and both times ended in miscarriage. The grief nearly crushed me, and I couldn't shake the fear that maybe I would never become a mother. Still, we kept hoping. Then, in October, I found out I was pregnant again. The joy was overwhelming, but so was the fear. Given my history, we decided to keep the news private until I made it to the second trimester. Only my husband knew. We wanted to protect our hearts just in case the worst happened again. Unfortunately, my well-meaning but nosy mother-in-law started piecing things together. During dinner one night with my in-laws, she noticed I wasn't having wine. She asked if I was pregnant. I'm not exactly great at hiding my emotions, and my reaction gave me away. I admitted I was, but I explained that we were keeping it a secret for now. She and my father-in-law promised to respect our privacy. Fast forward a few weeks, and our worst fear came true. I miscarried again. It was shattering. The grief came crashing down, and every day became a battle to hold myself together. I didn't want to attend Thanksgiving, but I didn't want to isolate myself either. I thought maybe being around family might help lift my spirits. And I had also planned to tell my mother-in-law in person about the miscarriage after Thanksgiving in a quiet moment when we could talk alone. Talking about it over the phone just didn't feel right, but the moment we walked through the door, something felt off. My mother-in-law's sister hugged me with a huge smile and congratulated me on the pregnancy. I froze. I hadn't told anyone else, and it hit me like a punch in the gut that my Emiel had broken her promise. I didn't want to create a scene, so I quietly explained that I'd had a miscarriage. Her face dropped, and she apologized. But not even a few minutes later, my sister-in-law also congratulated me. Once again, I had to explain that I was no longer pregnant. I was heartbroken, embarrassed, and overwhelmed. I'd wanted to avoid this exact situation, having to relive the pain over and over. Then, my mother-in-law pulled me aside. Instead of apologizing, she asked why I hadn't told her about the miscarriage. She said it hurt her to hear the news from her sister, instead of from me. I reminded her that I had planned to tell her the next morning and that I had expected her to keep our news private. Her excuse? She said she was just too excited and had only told her sister and daughter. I was stunned. Still, I didn't want to argue. I told her we could talk about it later and tried to enjoy the rest of the evening. But things only got worse. When it was time for dinner, my Emiel stood up to give the blessing. Instead of a typical prayer, she got emotional and publicly asked the entire family to keep me in their prayers because of my miscarriage. Then she shared that I had miscarried twice before, something I'd only confided in her and my father-in-law. She turned directly to me, in front of everyone, and started telling me that I'd make a wonderful mother someday. I couldn't hold back. I broke down, sobbing uncontrollably in front of everyone. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. I felt exposed, humiliated, and completely betrayed. My husband was furious. He asked her how she could think it was okay to share such personal, painful information without our permission. She defended herself by saying she was just trying to show love and support. We left before dinner was even served. That night, I cried myself to sleep. The next morning, there was a knock at the door. It was my Emiel. She wanted to talk. My husband didn't want to see her, but I agreed to speak with her privately, hoping she'd apologize and maybe we could start mending things. Instead, I was met with a lecture. She told me I should have informed her about the miscarriage earlier and said it ruined her holiday to hear the news secondhand. She also scolded me for telling her sister and daughter during Thanksgiving, claiming I caused a scene and brought down everyone's mood. Then she said, "If you were still that emotional, maybe you shouldn't have come at all." And then, get this, she said she forgave me, as if I had wronged her. I was stunned. I told her that while I may not have handled everything perfectly, none of this would have happened if she'd respected our wishes. I said she owed us an apology, not the other way around. She started crying and said I was just taking my trauma out on her. Then, before leaving, she asked if I would apologize for making a scene on Thanksgiving. I stood my ground. I told her I wasn't going to apologize for having an emotional reaction to her revealing my private medical history. My husband supported me 100%. In fact, he was so upset that he canceled our Christmas plans with his family altogether. Now, I'm torn. Part of me feels guilty for how everything unfolded. I hate conflict, and I know my Emiel has her own feelings. I can even understand that she was excited and maybe didn't realize the damage she'd caused. But I also know she crossed a line, many lines, and turned one of my most vulnerable moments into a public spectacle. So here I am, wondering, am I wrong for standing my ground? Should I apologize just to make peace, even though I know I didn't start the fire? Let me know what you think. Was I wrong for refusing to say sorry?